Hi, this is Romita here from InstaSafe. I welcome Sheetal Suvarna, who is a veteran in cybersecurity space. She is not only an author, but also developed many OpenStack products as a part of her passion for the cybersecurity community. She has also worked in multinational organizations, recommending organizations from small, medium, large, and complex on how to identify critical assets, protect their IT environment, detect threats and anomalies, respond to security incidents in real time, and especially focuses on critical steps to take full recovery. So let's welcome Sheetal.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, InstaSafe and Romita, and it's exciting to connect with you and interact.
Thank you, Sheetal. So we begin the webcast this way. I shoot you some questions, and you answer them, and let's make it interactive, and let's hear the best from you. Yeah.
Absolutely. Looking
So my
forward to it.
first, thank you. So my first question to you would be, COVID-19's impact on cybersecurity and the ways that any organization can confront the risk.
Although this is a common question, I rather find it interesting to find the answers and even shocking that COVID has given more avenues for hackers, especially in the remote connectivity and the ever-changing digitization, rather. And we have given them ammunition and ground full of vulnerabilities, right? And the threat landscape is ever changing, and with new vulnerabilities accompanying with every new feature as we connect more and more components into the new infrastructure, it's alarming. I would like to start responding to this with the numbers to tell you how exponentially we have become vulnerable. So, according to Predictions 2019, in 40% of the global enterprise, security decision makers said that a breach would be happening and via an exploited software vulnerability. And 37% said it would be via a web application. Note, this prediction was much ahead of time and the prediction didn't foresee COVID coming. So now let's look at 2021 data. According to 2021 predictions, 33% of the breaches are going to be insider threat related. The increase in remote work naturally leads to increase in insider risk. The insider risk incidents are expected to grow to 8% in 2021. Those were our predictions earlier. Now, according to 2022, Enterprise Strategy Group conducted a survey basically to understand where will be the technology spendings and what would be the intentions. So 69% of the organizations are increasing their investments in cybersecurity budgets. So I dug deeper into ways to develop and cultivate a strong team culture and also to reduce the insider risks and threats and minimize the toxicity within their organizations. So when we look at the top attacks so far in 2022 with different dimensions, one being the number of people being impacted or affected. For example, Shanghai police that had 1 billion people who got infected with over 23 terabytes of stolen data, and that was on sale. And on the other side, let's look at crypto.com attack, and that had unauthorized withdrawals totaling up to 4,836 ETH and 443 odd BTCs, and approximately 66,200 in other currencies. And they sound sabotaging in the IT world. And with many of these open pieces, it's irrefutable fact that this is like a double extortion. So not just encrypting the data, but even after taking backup system, they publish the data on social media. And it's not a traditional attacks. It is happening in banking, manufacturing, and logistics, power and utility sectors. They are seeing a profound increase in attacks, like, for example, SolarWinds. The attack was an eye-opener for public sectors. What needs to be considered are the ways in which companies work and connect, both internally as well as externally. On the other hand, cyber criminals continue to see phishing attacks, especially in digital transactions in a non-person environment. Early adopters, like the traditional solutions, basically add new features on their firewall and add solution on their existing platform. This increases operations with more than 3 vendors, and that increases the complexities as well in the environment. At this melting point, organizations must address the toxic culture head on and eliminate the sources that not only retain security talent, but also create an attractive environment for the team members, maintain team's reputation, alleviate risks to the organization, and encourage innovation. And additionally, implement cloud native solution and more comprehensive non-traditional security solutions with right investments, and along with increased security awareness like phishing attacks could reduce and create a secure, robust environment.
That was really insightful. So we move on to the next question, which is kind of related to this. Okay, so how do you think the importance of cybersecurity has changed, in the post-pandemic world? Like, how differently is it perceived by the company or the board?
Right. So as we move on into 2022 and later, the pandemic persists and the demand for customers as well for seamless cross-channel experiences, convenience, and reassurance. And it's a need of the hour for CIOs to renew their organizational digital landscape and transform to turn these efforts into must-have foundational investments. It's critical for leading firms and leaders to understand the forces that will shape the world in 2022 and beyond, so you can be ready to seize the opportunities and uncertainty, and also to forge a path to success. To sprint forward, disruption has ensued since the dawn of the digital era, but it exploded in intensity and also the breadth starting 2020. Companies must seize these rapidly developing market to stay competitive and also innovate by increasing security literacies in their organizations. Organizations continue to encounter a growing number of threats that are more sophisticated and targeted than ever before. While the skill gaps continue to remain a persistent feature of the security landscape, the question is, are we ready as an organization? There is a fascinating data. The view of cybersecurity spending surge in 2022 and beyond is somewhat immune to recession. To that extent, cybersecurity is a recession-proof portfolio. The board of directors sit at the top of the organization, as such, responsible for knowing everything about the organization, from how it operates to risks that threatens its success. One risk cannot be ignored as its growing threat of the cyber attacks that we face nowadays. They also need to invest and reinvest in addressing the skill gap, security talent retention, and also to remove the toxicity and prevent the insider threat. So what are the next natural questions that we see? Leadership of every organization must know if they are prepared to deal with cyber attacks. What is their risk appetite? How to identify zero patient? What are the recovery strategies and how to respond to the community and stakeholders? What would be a typical war room look like? And who owns the breach if there's a breach in the organizational ecosystem? All board meetings focus on overall performance, and other business critical decisions are also happening remotely. Therefore, the perilous question is whether the connections are secure and whether the information is safe, both at enterprise as well as the financial level. The reputation for every company is paramount. Despite the sector, whether it is public, private, technology, telecom, airline, automotive, and other industries, they have brought down their share price drastically with these cyber breaches. The fear-driven expenditure has created uncertainty and also increased the distance to a safe IT environment for an organization. It could be SIM or source solutions or even threat detection tools. So Usually, people expect the out of the box solutions. By running an executable, there must be a change in the mindset. The more we analyze the threats, the more we need to refine, redefine security policies, and also look at custom configurations. Eventually, who takes the decision and convinces the C suite to invest right is the question to be answered.
Thank you, Sheetal. So, with that, we move on to the next question. What steps do you think organizations should take to safeguard their IT environment with the new working culture, the hybrid working culture, rather?
Right, right. To begin with, I think hybrid work culture is here to stay and is proven to be successful, sustainable model. Despite the size of the organization, nobody prefers the extremes of the coin, no office or only office. So, as matter of privacy carries increased effects on the company revenue. The proportion of privacy leaders reporting directly to the CEOs were predicted to increase 23% in 2019 and 40% in 2021, which means the number of people directly reporting to the CEO has exponentially doubled from 2019 to 2021 and beyond. So another revolution of the CISO's role forecasted by Forrester was 2021 was because the toxic security culture. With more public due to increased legal action that led to the contracts of those in the position at Global 500 firms being terminated. So toxicity and the toxicity is increasing, and with the security micromanagement, it becomes more toxic for people who are working in the organization. And that needs to have a good balance to ensure we are monitoring the user pattern behavior as well as also looking at not having the toxic secure culture, I mean the toxic culture. So in 2021, an increase in audit and budget pressure meant that CISOs must look at to address possible audit issues and risks. That the risk quantification technology saw an uptake. So here's what we could do together: develop protocols and measures to bring a sense of uniformity and safety to the workplace. Focus on how to build the mental toughness by first understanding the performance as well as the workplace behavior, motivation, and environment. This will reduce the toxicity in the workplace. From clicking a dangerous link and falling prey to an online scam to poor password management, several things can go wrong. That's why it's imperative to ensure awareness programs and informational sessions are all addressing the weak links. And this way, moving forward, companies and employees will be able to enjoy a minimum hybrid workplace.
True. So with that, what are the biggest cybersecurity threats that you think, in other words, in the social media words, I would like to say trending?
This is a great question. And in my personal view, hyper-automation, for example, low-code solutions aim to increase repeatability, increase capability, and also reduce errors, free up valuable human time to focus on what's important, like playbook customizations, integrations, case management, or even reporting, setup, maintenance, and others. However, these leaves a large lacuna that could lead to misconfigurations, making the systems vulnerable. One key fits all doors, and that's dangerous. Additionally, insider threats have increased, and there are two ways to address them. One, with the policy-focused security protocols like DLP or the CASB, there are plenty of security teams who have tried valiantly to shoehorn these tools into the insider risk use cases. But the problem is that the policy-based is a prevention approach. This prevention approach basically has and will fail. On the contrary, the user-focused security products like UEBA and UAM, these tools monitor the user activities and attempt to identify the normal versus an abnormal behavior. So based on the user patterns, we identify the actual real risks. Building an insider risk program around the user surveillance makes a dramatic statement about trust. So, how can we address this? Security teams are trying to fit square pegs into a round holes, and they're lacking the contextual intelligence needed to determine what data truly matters and what are the activities actually represent the real risk. So what I mean by this is contextual intelligence is rather than the online shopping or Facebook posts, watermarking and file classification helps identification of critical data for an organization. And also, specifically, I want to bring to the table the importance of healthy work culture that compels your top talent to stay within the organization.
Thank you, Sheetal. So with this, another question pops up my mind. So for example, if as an organization, any organization, be it middle or small or large enterprise, faces a targeted cyber attack. Okay, so what do you think
Yes.
should be the protocol to address it?
Simply, people, process, and technology are the core ingredients of effective cybersecurity. So the goal is for everyone to stop the bleeding. And various measures can be taken to contain security incidents and also eradicate the intruder. That includes blocking all incoming network traffic on border routers, blocking network and incoming traffic on the firewalls, blocking particular services. It could be FTP or even Telnet, and also ports on the firewalls, disconnecting infected systems from the network. And if you're not able to pinpoint the device which got infected by the incident, trace them to a particular segment of your network and isolate that segment from the rest of the network. So no single group or an organization can stem the tide of the security threats. So basically, we need to isolate, reset passwords, activate the backup and recovery process, and also implement multi-factor authentication. And remember, never destroy an evidence.
I think that was a great answer. Moving on to the next question. What are some of the proactive steps? This question is particularly for the enterprise segment. What do you think are the few proactive steps an enterprise should take to reduce the probability of cyber attacks, or at least minimize the impact of a cyber attack?
There are multiple frameworks available that could be integrated and implemented. And I would like to talk more about the defense in depth and also zero trust frameworks. These are the key to the answer. Value is unlocked with zero trust. People have moved away from the walls of the office to untrusted devices. This means remove the trust from the connection and focus on the identity. So NIST has recommended 5 pillars. So like under the identify, user management, assets, roles, and access controls. So under protect, we have perimeter security, endpoint security, antivirus, anti-malware, and authentication. Under detect, we look at continuous monitoring, IOCs, SOCs, SIM solution, HIDS, NIDS, and also honeypots. Under response, we have incident response, forensics, and for example, response processes and procedures. Under recovery, we have the backup and the restoration. Well, in this information age, it's like gaining grip on the two-edged sword, the cause and the cure. So what's the organization's risk appetite? Is the team future ready? And with that, nearly 80% of the intrusions are known tactics and largely preventable. The attacker only needs one vulnerability, whilst the defender has to protect 100% of his landscape. So invest in people, invest in skills, invest right in the environment.
Thank you, Sheetal. So with this, we come to the last question of the webcast. In 2021, the US government, released an executive order to implement zero trust technology, to safeguard all the federal IT infrastructure, right? So what are your views on zero trust security, and how much is it relevant in today's scenario?
So let's start with what is zero trust, and then move on to why and what is the importance of the Executive Order 14028. So the Gartner says CISO zero trust means no standing privileges on the network or the data center. So zero trust core foundation is least privileged access and micro segmentation. In addition, organizations are concentrating on endpoint security, improving IAM effectiveness, and hybrid cloud security, and also automated patch management to improve the least privileged accesses. Look for cybersecurity vendor landscape to reflect these priorities, with more mergers and acquisitions, and private equity investors are looking at creating more competitive platforms. So before, what is the executive order? Let's understand the why. So the Executive Order 14028, it might not be fair to say pre-SolarWinds and also the post-SolarWinds. It is to improve and develop national cybersecurity posture in response to the SolarWinds attack, which exposed sensitive data from the top government agencies and major companies like Microsoft. The EU 1408 Scene 1, Section 3 specifically calls for federal agencies and their suppliers to modernize their approach to cybersecurity, and by accelerating the move to secure cloud services and also implementing zero trust architecture. It has identified 16 infrastructure sectors by US Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, or CISA, to adopt zero trust cybersecurity principles and also adjust their network architecture. They range from energy, dams, financial services at the top 3, and manufacturing, government, and commercial at the bottom 3. The rest cuts across like food, water, healthcare, and including transportation and information technology. And not to forget, the emergency services has taken the 7th position. And I would like to talk a bit more about the 4 trends defining zero trust in 2022. Demand for endpoint security, visibility, and also control is growing faster than the market itself. CISOs will invest more to improve IAM effectiveness in 2022, and all organizations were unprepared for this scaling. Zero trust becomes the foundation for more hybrid cloud integrations. And unfortunately, organizations' track records are yet to reach their cyber goals. And AI-based patch management is growing as enterprises struggle to update endpoints with the least privileged access control. So now, what are the trends? So what is the future for zero trust looking like? It's basically a framework and not a prescription. The framework is a living document, an integration of renowned frameworks like COBIT, NIST, or ISO standards. The Office of Management and Budget, OMB, requires agencies to determine their own strategies for achieving zero trust architecture within 60 days of its release, while OMB 2209 requires specific security goals to be achieved by end of FY24. So here's the bottom line opportunity. Even though event logging requirements are discussed in the memorandum, some agencies are still unclear about what exactly achieves compliance with the standards. An additional OMB clarification is expected, but until then, vendors should continue to monitor the developments in this area closely. Also, properly position their technology and expertise to more clear guidance, and that has become as it becomes available. And zero trust continues to be relevant now and in the future as well, due to the regulatory requirement and also own safety and security, a secure environment. So I know these are intense topics and there are many sources available to explore and learning. So I would recommend people who are interested to, search and research on these topics to learn more about it.
Thank you so much, Sheetal. It was lovely, hearing your insights about cybersecurity and zero trust. You covered us through a lot of good examples like solar winds, attacks, and lots of recap of how to protect our network and everything. So thank you for joining us on the webcast, and we wish you all the best for your book release.
Thank you. Thank you so
Would
much for
you,
having me.
thank you. Would you like to talk about your book release also, or you want us to cut?
No, absolutely. I will talk about it. The
Okay, then I'll
volume.
repeat this line. I'll repeat this line.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure.
And one second. Sheetal, we would also love to hear about your book release. So just take us through a few important points of your new release.
Sure. So this is a volume two. The pre-launch is already available on River Publications with Netherlands. The links are available on my LinkedIn posts, and the pre-launch information is also available. The printing and distribution is yet to happen in the coming quarter. And the volume one costed around 99 euros. So this could be a little higher, is the prediction. So mine is chapter five, and a lot of independent researchers have contributed right from the malware, anomalies, and also digital images, etc., and product development in many stack, right from network to application. So a lot of these chapters have been contributed with by many independent researchers. I would highly recommend that you could purchase a copy. This is basically recommending based on the OpenStack. You can implement the secure environment in all the OSI layers. That doesn't mean that you really have to look at the biggies and have licenses which are exorbitant. So with the OpenStack, we can still secure the environment. So that's the messaging in the volume one and volume two. So I'm really excited and looking forward for the release.
All the best, Sheetal. So to our audiences who are interested to, I think what not interested, anybody who is a cybersecurity enthusiast must go and read Sheetal's publications, yeah, her books. So the links and the details will be provided in our post. Thank you, Sheetal, once again. You have a
Thank
great
you
week.
so much for having me. Thank you.
Bye.